Let's try again. Can you hear me now? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me now. Can you hear me? Hello. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, Ange. Right, okay. That's better. You can hear me now. Good job I didn't say anything of any interest then, isn't it? Right, okay, so I'm just going to start. I was just saying I've got gym hair. It's all fluffy, yeah, because I've had a ponytail in it and taken it out. And I've tried to cover up the packing behind me. There's a clue. Wrong side, Mandy. Keep doing that. That side, yeah. I love wallpaper. So that's the wallpaper for my new house, and on top of a load of packing boxes, because I have been packing up over the last couple of days, as well as finishing off my book. And yeah, the clues behind me, starting the new painting, because I just couldn't help myself. As soon as I'd finished the book, both me and my mum have proofread it, thanks mum, and had a sort of read through it and checked all the spelling and the grammar and the best we can. So I've got it to a good state over the weekend where I'm kind of happy to be submitting it to publishers and things. So that's good. So as a reward to myself, I started sketching on the big, huge canvas. So those of you that have seen my other work, it's double the size of the really big ones, the letter Rise. And You Raise Me Up, it's double the size of that. It's a really big canvas for this one. So that's good. I shouldn't be doing it. It's a bit naughty, but I can't be not painting for that length of time. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, it's absolutely bucketing down out there. The heavens have opened. Dan's just gone out with the dog. He's a bit yellow chicken in this weather because of the thunder. But Dan's just gone out with him, so at some point I'll have a wet dog thrown into the living room as well. So we'll cope with that. It's a bit odd in this house at the minute with all the packing up and everything that's going on. Anyway, tonight is episode 4 of 12 of my 12-week series and countdown to the launch of my book and website. And tonight's episode is a follow-up from last week. So I'm going to recap a bit. I'm going to just, for anybody who hasn't been joining in previous weeks and perhaps doesn't know me, I'm going to be a bit more courteous tonight. It was a bit thrown last week because I had some techno bugs going on, and the live video failed after the first sort of couple of minutes and I had to start again, and then I didn't have anything in the content, so it threw me a little bit. So I'm a bit more organized tonight. That's pending the weather not knocking this video out. So I'm a coach and I coach women. I coach women who lack the confidence to make a high impact in whatever they choose to make that impact in. And I teach you how to re-engage your creative thinking. I'm just looking at my notes here to make sure I get everything right. I teach you how to re-engage your creative thinking using a fusion of art and coaching. And the style of coaching that I use is a mixture of 25, 30 years of experience of leadership coaching, NLP coaching, life coaching, confidence coaching, and then using creative thinking and using creative arts to actually be able to visualize things. So that's what I do. So I'm currently on a countdown, a 12-week countdown to the launch of my new book, The Life I Won, which I've just finished this weekend, and my new website, which brings the Glowing Aura Mindset Makeover program to you, which is a program that I have designed for women to help them to move through any blockages, barriers in their lives, and actually to give themselves a really big, abundant life. That's what I want for everybody. So tonight is about following up with what I've already been talking about. And in week 1, when I started doing these videos, I talked about forgiveness and gratitude. And the reason I'm doing them is this is me sharing, really. It's based on what I've been writing in the book, I suppose, because the book I've written tells a story. It's a fictional story based on true events, but it's a fictional story. And it tells of how I got to my rock bottom. And I had a series of unfortunate events, and that were quite devastating. And I reached what I thought was my rock bottom, which was bankrupt and living in I'm going to call it my castle by the sea, because it really was, for the first time ever, living in social housing in Amble. But I talked about, when we reach rock bottom, there really is only one way to go. And I've turned my life around over the last 10 years, and this year was the anniversary. So it was quite a poignant year for me. 10 years since I lost everything. And in a few short weeks, 6 weeks, I think it is now, 6 or 7 weeks, Becca keeps saying it's a month, and it's not a month, it's 6 to 7 weeks. We move into my dream home, which me and the kids drew 10 years ago. And that's all in the book, so I won't tell you too much about that. So this is my 12-week countdown of the steps I took over the last 10 years, the things I did that actually got me to where I am now, in a place of abundance, really. So I wanted to share that as a precursor for the launch of the website and the launch of the book. So week 1, I talked about forgiveness and gratitude being the bricks and mortar that you need to start to rebuild your life when everything has gone, when you have nothing. And in week 2, I talked about mindset being the windows that you put into that build that gives you clarity and enables you to see, because mindset really is everything. It will drive and control your entire life and everything that you succeed in life. And last week I talked about what you have and what you need. And I talked about how to view what you have and what you need, focusing on lead indicators. Now you need to watch the episode to really understand what I'm saying there, that, we tend to get bogged down with following the wrong things in life. Hi, Judith. Nice to see that you've joined. We get bogged down with a tendency to follow the wrong things in life instead of doing the right things to try and turn things around. So that's what I talked about last week. So this week was a follow-on from that, and what to do with what you have. Because last week I said, what we have in assets isn't all about financial assets, because our biggest asset is ourselves. We are our biggest lead indicator in this life. If we focus on ourselves and fill ourselves up and use as many tools as possible to make us the best version of ourselves, we are the best lead indicator that we have in our life. Now, there are many, many other lead indicators, but that was where I was talking about last week. Lead indicators are the key thing to focus on. You are the biggest lead indicator. You need to invest in yourself. And what I had done at reaching my rock bottom is not let that stop me investing in myself. Now, I had already had a lot of experience and a lot of education, but actually I was at rock bottom. I needed to continue to bolster that in order to move forward. Then you've got to work out what is it that you've actually currently got and what you can do with it. And that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, is what to do with what you have, how to attract abundance. And in order to do that, you have to plan. But first of all, I don't know when the last time anybody that may be watching, either now or on replay, has ever sat down and really thought about what they have to offer. What skills do you have to offer? And what is it that you want to do with them? Because we all have really, really unique skills. Every single one of us. And I'm working with a coach at the minute who genuinely believes that every single woman on this planet, and I agree with her, that's why I'm working with her, has $1 million business in them. Every woman, because we've all been through a hell of a lot. Every single one of us has a story. Okay. And when you have a story, it means you've got experience, and that means you've got skills. And it's how to monopolize those skills and that experience in order to make the most of what you have. So when I was at rock bottom in my castle by the sea in Amble with my little Suzuki Swift, I knew I had a shit ton of experience in leadership, in team management, in managing businesses and budgets, etc. And I then had to then transfer that into life, from business into life. And how could I do that? And I worked out strategies of how I could use those skills in my life. And what I discovered in doing that is that I had skills that other people didn't have. And it became very apparent very quickly that there were other people around me that were in my new network, in this new life that I had, that needed those skills that I had and didn't know how to get them. So instantly what you have then is something that somebody needs. And that's where I think when you hit rock bottom, it's remembering what you are good at. And you don't have to hit rock bottom for that. You can be ticking along quite nicely, perhaps not earning as much as you want to be earning, perhaps not in a job that you're happy in, perhaps not fulfilling your potential. And your first point to stop and look is, what do you have? Yeah. What do you want out of life? What is it? What, if I could give you any wish, what would you wish for? What is it that you want? Now, for many, many years, all I wanted to do was be an artist again. I'm going to be really, really honest with you. All right. It's taken me 10 years to put paint to canvas and pencil to paper. And do you know why? Because I was scared. I didn't think I'd be good anymore because I hadn't done it for so long. And I was good at other things. So I was focusing at those things because those things that I was focusing on were easier than actually doing what I really, really wanted to do. And it's been a huge leap of faith for me this year to say, do you know what? Stop making excuses, Mandy, and stop being scared. No matter how good or bad you are unique and you will be not like anybody else out there. So just fucking do it. So that's what I've done this year. And that's what I want to say to you guys, is that each and every one of you will have something that you are really, really good at, that is special to you, that nobody else, because you are unique, nobody else will have the same skill as you. They may have similar skills. Somebody else might have achieved what you want to achieve, but not in the way that you will achieve it or the way that you will do it, because you are an individual, you are unique, so you have something special to offer. So that's the starting point for me saying to you, what is it you have? Yeah, what to do with what you have. So first point is deciding what it is you want, what it is you really want. Okay, so the question is, what do I want and who do I want to help? All right, you don't have to help. It might be just your family you want to help, but what do I want? As a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as whoever, whatever you describe yourself as, what do you want? That's the first question that you have to answer, and nobody else can answer that for you. And then when you know what you want, what do you want to do with it? Who do you want to help? Is it you that you want to help? Is it others that you want to help? Is it your family? Is it your friends? Is it a business that you want to start? And you know you've got a unique skill that can help another woman that maybe isn't where you are now. Maybe they're 2 years behind where you are now, and they need you to help them to get there. All right, we've all got something unique. So how do you first of all make that step, make that leap and say, what do I want and who do I want to help? You've got to really, really, really be specific when you ask that question, because finding out what you really want is sometimes hard and it's a lengthy process. And what I don't want to do is anybody to beat themselves up for not being able to answer that, because do you know what? I knew so much, and I mean so much, when I was in my castle by the sea and I had nothing and I was bankrupt. I knew how to plan. I'd been planning for multi-million-pound businesses for years. I knew how to make money, knew how to increase sales, I knew all of those things. But I was a single mum and I'd lost everything. I had no savings, I had nothing. I had 2 children, one of whom who was just being diagnosed with autism. I had 2 dogs to look after. I was huge responsibility. I don't know if I can use too many swear words on here, my not very good ex-husband, fill in the gaps, to what he really is. gave me no money towards those kids. They were solely my responsibility. Becca had very, very expensive hobbies. She did dance lessons, cost me £600-700 a term for just the dance lessons, and then all her dance kit. So I was 100% responsible. So the first thing I needed to do was make enough money to pay the bills and to feed us and to clothe us and to pay for the hobbies that my children had, so that they didn't see any difference in their lives. So that was my first goal. It was very difficult then for me to focus on anything bigger. So I had to look at what I had and what I could do with the skills that I already had. I also had to look at what assets that I'd lost everything. I'm going to keep saying that. I'd lost everything. There was only one thing I had. I'm not going to talk about it too much tonight, but I had my pension scheme from my senior roles in management. At that point, I knew nothing about pension schemes, what could be done with it. So one of the things I identified was that I needed to get better knowledge in how to invest or use what I had financially in order to give me a better life later on. And I talk about that in a later episode, so I'm not going to go into that in any detail, but I identified very early on that there was a gap in my knowledge that I needed to fill. But I had loads of things going for me. I was able to attract business to me. I was able to find business and work easily, but not in what I wanted to do, if you can understand what I mean. I was able to find abundance and attract business, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. But it ticked the box of providing for my family. So sometimes, depending on where you are in your life and what you want to achieve, there are sacrifices that need to be made and other paths that you need to take in order to get to your end results. And sometimes it takes time. And I don't want you to be any under. This is why 10-year anniversary from me losing everything. I'm talking to you now because it's taken me 10 years to turn this around, but I've turned it around big style. So that's worthy of sharing with you guys if that's what you want. So what do you have and who do you want to help? Those are your first questions, and being really, really specific and drilling down. Now, during my Glowing Aura Mindset Makeover program that I'm developing for the website, I use a model called the perfect square, and I use it throughout that program. I've used it for the last 10 years, and it comes from a novel that I read by Florence Scovel-Shinn, and it was written in the 1920s, believe it or not. She was really forward thinking. She was an artist and illustrator, and she uses the perfect square, and I use the perfect square. And I use that because it's very simple. It says that life is basically a perfect square made up of love, of health, of wealth, and of self-expression. And if you've got the right goals in each of those 4 areas, you will create your perfect square, your perfect life. Now, 10 years ago, I put a square on a piece of card, and in the center of that piece of card, I wrote happiness. And every single goal that I set in each of those areas had to connect into happiness, because it was really important for me, after everything that I'd lost and my children had lost, that we were happy. That was my ultimate goal at that time, and that was my focus. Now, that changed over the years as I developed and built my business, and I built a cleaning business, and then I moved into financial services, and then I moved into wills and estate planning, and now I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. That's taken me 10 years to get here, which is art and writing and coaching, and I'm happy as a pig in shit. And that's how everybody should feel, ladies. Everybody should feel that happy in what they do. And if you don't, there's only you can change that. And you have to start by looking at where you are now and what skills you have. Okay, so when you've identified your assets, and your skills are your assets, they will always be your assets. They belong to you. No one can steal them from you. No one can take them away. They're special. They're yours. So what do you want? Who do you want to help? Being really specific. Who is it that you can help? Maybe you can help children because you are so good with children and you've got this brilliant idea. And I see Alison's on there, and Alison has a fantastic, Alison Curry, say hi, has a fantastic idea that uses art and helps children, and it's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it's her idea. It's really, really special, and it should be something that is making her loads and loads of money, but there's steps to go yet. She's getting there. We all have something really special, and maybe it is that you can help other women. Maybe it is that you can help businesses to strategize, or maybe it is that you are a fantastic team. I see Tracy's on there. Some people are just great team leaders, and will be really successful in a team environment, which may mean that they are employed rather than having their own business. All of that is good, but you really, in order to move your life upwards, you have to really focus and hone in on those skills that you have and recognize them. And the first thing I'm going to say, ladies, is give yourself some praise for what you have. And do you know what we do as women? We look around us and we see other people that are also good at what we're good at, or good at something similar to what we're good at. And we feel inadequate, and we feel less than, and we feel like we can't go and do what we're really good at because somebody else is better than us, or somebody else is doing it or perceived to be doing it more successfully and better than us. And I'm going to tell you now, they're not. They're struggling just as much as anybody else is on this planet, and they have the same confidence issues. Some people hit lucky with their product or their service and it goes absolutely ballistic really quickly, and they don't seem to have to do much for it to do that. But actually there's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. It's taken me 10 years to get here from nothing to where I am today. It's only taken me 10 years because I was a single mum. If I hadn't had the kids and the dogs to look after, I could probably have done it quicker. I couldn't do it any quicker because they were my main focus. So what is it that you are going to focus on? In order to attract abundance, the first thing you've got to do is plan. In order to plan, you've really got to know what it is you want. And then what you've got to do is, if you are not currently, if you've got any gaps in your knowledge, you have to become an expert at whatever it is that you want to do. You have to be the best in your field. You have to be and when I'm saying you have to be the best, you have to know it inside out. I'm not saying you have to be, there is no best. There's just variants of the same thing. So it's like artists. This is the worst career I could have picked. There are millions of artists out there, millions of really good artists out there. It's a really difficult profession to go and stand out in. But that doesn't mean that you can't go out there and be your kind of good. And you have to have confidence in that. But you've got to be an expert as well. And I'm not saying you have to be an expert in doing the painting on the canvas. Do what is right for you and do it from your soul. You've got to be an expert in marketing it. And if you don't know how to do that, that's where the gap in your current assets are. So you've got this huge asset of being really good at something. I'm using myself as an example. Yeah, you've got this asset of being really good at something. But if you're not really good at telling people about it, then who's going to buy your product, or who's going to buy what you're selling? And who's the person who's likely to buy it? Do you know them? Do you know who they are? And then if they do buy what you're offering, how much are you going to sell it for? How are you going to sell it? And that doesn't matter whether that's you having your own business or you working for somebody else, because you're either selling yourself to get a better job, or you're selling your product or service to make more money. We're all selling something. So you've got to be great at knowing exactly what you want, exactly what you need, what you've currently got that can help you get there, exactly what you need, where the gaps are in your assets that you currently have. Yeah. And then this really robust strategy that starts with, what do I want? Who do I want to help? How am I going to solve their problem for them? And then how am I going to brand myself? How am I going to get leads? How am I going to sell? Or how am I going to brand myself if I'm going for a job? And how am I going to sell myself? It's all about the same thing in the wheel, no matter where you are doing it, whether you're doing it in employment, whether you're doing it in a business, it's all about the same treadmill. And it's getting really good at knowing that. But the first thing you really need to know so well is yourself. Now, I thought I knew myself really well, and it's taken me 10 years to relearn lots of things, loads more experience to add to the mix in those 10 years. And I'm sure that, you know, all of you can relate to that. The more you learn, the more things that happen in your life, the more you learn, the more experience you get of life, the better you get. Mums are fantastic because they can multitask, and they are great leaders, and they are great planners, and they can make something out of nothing. Mums are fantastic. If I had my own multi-million-pound business and I needed 200 staff, I'd employ mums. They're fantastic. They're great problem solvers. So, but you have to recognize that in yourself. That's really, I suppose, when I'm saying what you have and what to do with it, you've got to recognize how good you are. How good are you? What are you going to do with that really good thing that you are really good at? How are you going to use it to make your life more abundant? How are you going to use it to bring more abundance into your life? All right, so we're going to start by recognizing it. And do you know the first thing I did? I made a list of my assets. What did I know? What could I do? And it's great to sit down and make a list, to give yourself that. We always can make lists of things that we don't do well. Make a list of what you do well. Make a list of the things that you recognize are the things you are really, really good at. Make a list of the things that you really want in life, and do it in a structured way. Yeah, use the perfect square. Use any planning tool and you will get there. And then make a list of the things that you want to do with what you are really, really good at. I hope that makes sense to you. It's very repetitive, but I really need to get this message to you tonight about this was a big learning for me, a huge learning for me of recognizing what you are good at. It's not conceited, it's not narcissistic, it's not big-headed, it's not showing off. It's saying, actually, I have learned some skills over the years. I am really good at this. I can help this set of people with this. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to get even better at it. I'm going to fill the gaps in my knowledge. So hopefully that makes some sense to you tonight. And all of these lives week by week follow on along this track of the things that I learned over the 10 years that I was then able to use and to monopolize and to strategize with in order to get me to where I have reached this point today. Right, so next week, one of the things, the biggest and hardest thing for me to do was to really, really live within my means and live small in order to save and plan really, really big. Now, I talked about that quite early on, living small and being in my little castle by the sea with not much and having lost everything. But next week, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about the things that I learned and the strategies that I used in order to be able to allow me to not only live within my means, but pull it in so tight that I could then invest in me and invest in those gaps in my knowledge that I felt that would help me in the long term. Remember, those of you that watched last week and I talked about lead and lag indicators, you are the lead indicator in your life. You invest in you, the rest will come. Abundance and everything else that you want will come. I hope that's made some sense for you tonight. I hope you're all still on. I don't know what the weather's done to this video. No idea who's here, but I hope that this is making sense. I'm really enjoying talking to you about this stuff, and I'm trying to be really honest with you. So this time next week, there might be more on this canvas behind me, so keep watching. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, or if you're watching this on replay, please leave me a message, #replay, let me know if there's any comments that you want to make or anything that you want to say. Everybody's dropped off here now, so I'm assuming there's something wrong with the video. So have a great evening. I hope the weather's not too bad, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye now.